While Boruto and his teammates are off chasing after lost cats, Team 15, which consists of Sumire, Wasabi, and Namida, are chasing after an entire freaking zoo. I say this every single time there's an episode that involves Hanabi, but man, she got real purty. So here we are, an episode which finally involves Team 15, which consists of Sumire, Wasabi, and Namida. And I don't know if they ever established this before, but they're actually led by Hanabi Hyuga, the younger, super attractive sister of Hinata, and she barely plays a role in this episode. Basically, she's delegating a task to her team to see if they're capable, if they can work together, and of course, that means there's going to be a lot of conflict. Despite the fact that all three of these girls were really close friends in the academy, when they actually work together on a mission, there's a lot of clashing, surprisingly, and a lot of that has to do with their personalities. Basically, Sumire is kind of like the single mother, and Wasabi and Namida are the squabbling children. This, of course, leads to a lot of drama in this episode, which is basically an expansion of the searching after the lost cat storyline that we've seen so many times in the Naruto franchise, where the Genin are supposed to chase after a lost animal which belongs to its owner. The difference is, in this episode, they're going after all of these exotic animals which have escaped from the zoo. All thanks to one ridiculous monkey. So Team 15 is going to have to band together and use their unique skills to capture all of these animals. And it pretty much plays out exactly the way that you would expect, but the best thing about this episode is that we're spending time with these new characters that we don't even really know. I would go as far as to say that this is the biggest episode for Wasabi and Namida thus far. There aren't any, big surprises as far as their abilities go. We get to see the return of the cat cloak, and we get to see Namida's unique ability to scream really loud, but we get to see Sumire actually bringing out the Nue again, and getting to see all of these characters work together in conjunction with their unique abilities. Frankly, I can't wait to see more of them in action, but like I said, the drama of this episode mostly comes from the fact that it seems like these girls just don't know how to fully work together quite yet, with Wasabi basically wanting to be the one in charge. She's essentially like a female Boruto in many senses, and then you have Namida, who cries at the mention of anything. I mean, that's just sort of like her distinguishing characteristic, and at first, it was kind of annoying, but I have to admit, after this episode, it's actually kind of adorable. And then there is Sumire, who is struggling with the fact that she cannot tell her teammates that she's the one who could have potentially destroyed Konoha Village with her summon, the Nue. This is a fact that we learn at the very end of the episode that Namida and Wasabi actually already know about this. They were just waiting for Sumire to tell them the entire time. But it sort of plays out exactly as you would expect, with Wasabi and Namida getting into a fight, and then Sumire having to sort of pick up the pieces. What I do love about the episode is that all three characters do band together and come together at the very end of the episode, which means Hanabi actually just gets to sit around in the trees looking really hot and super awesome and doesn't even have to lift a finger. It shows that this team is going to be alright, and that Sumire is going to be able to work with people, and there's not going to be a threat anymore with her wanting to destroy the village with a massive summoned creature. But really, this episode, like I said, is sort of an expansion of the chasing after the cat, except now we get a bunch of weird animals like foxes and rabbits, even this one group of rabbits, which there's a male and a female. They're known as pseudo-hares, and what's really funny is that the designs of these bunnies are not only cute, but the female actually has like a bow on her ear, and it's a fiercely protective rabbit. When they go after the male, this thing just turns into like that killer rabbit from the Monty Python movie, just disturbing as crap. They managed to stop it, of course. But the biggest thing on their list is this monkey, which is actually the thing that is responsible for getting all of these animals out of their cages. What's the motivation of the monkey? It doesn't really matter. They don't even get into it. It's just a mischievous monkey, and apparently the guard was sleeping that night while watching his reruns of the Brady Bunch. The biggest scene of the episode comes when they finally are about to get this monkey. Namida is actually the one who actually ends up finding it, but she's suddenly attacked by this massive wolf out of Dark Souls, which is like this just ridiculously oversized creature. It's not out of the realm of possibility for the Naruto world, but all three girls are going to have to band together, get rid of their differences and fight against this thing. And they do it to a great degree, using a lot of cool combination techniques, with Sumire using the Nue to suck up all of its chakra. This is followed by Wasabi, who uses her signature cat cloak technique to move really fast and swift and to put explosive tags all over this wolf. And then you have Namida, who uses her crying ability to set all of the explosions off, knocking the wolf out and saving the day. Essentially, these girls learned a valuable lesson. They're going to have to learn to utilize each other's strengths, trust in one another, and not leave anything secretive. Everything has to be out in the open for this team to work properly, and they have to get over their egos, Wasabi in particular. That being said, she's still easily my favorite member of the group. That cat cloak is still incredibly cool and unique, and I can't wait to see more of it in action, and hopefully the upcoming Chunin exam will give us an excuse to see just that. But there's still a little bit more to talk about in the rundown of this week's episode of Boruto, which was surprisingly pleasant, but really not all that groundbreaking. That being said, all of these characters are still very new and fresh to me, so I got a lot of enjoyment out of it, and just getting to see more of their distinctive personalities, as when Boruto first began, I saw these characters as someone that we would never see again. They're just there in the background, that's all they're ever going to be. For them to actually expand on them is something that I'm very excited about, because they're all very unique and have abilities that we've never seen in the series, with Sumire's summon being incredibly unique, and Wasabi being able to transform into a half-cat person, and then of course Namida's ability to cry and yell really loud. Really, they come across more like a superhero team. They seem like characters that you would see in My Hero Academia, as opposed to the traditional Naruto character, but I like that because they're mixing things up and they're making things fresh again. I really love that. And of course this episode has a lot of hilarious imagery, like the fact that Sumire came up with this plan to have them all wear these costumes, which will actually mask their scent and make it a lot easier to sneak up on these creatures. And these are not normal costumes. They are big, giant mascot furry costumes, which is funny if you just wanted to see Sumire in a bunny outfit that's big and bulbous, or maybe even Wasabi, who of course is dressed as a cat with a ridiculous comically large bell, or Namida, who is a penguin. For reasons. If it were up to me, they would have probably kept those costumes on the entire time, as they were really funny and ridiculous. But then again, we wouldn't be able to really make use of their really cool techniques if they were probably wearing those, considering how clumsy they looked when they were actually inside of these things. Namida in particular, that penguin costume looked ridiculous. It looked like the penguin from Evangelion. Again, one of my favorite things here, though, is that we have Hanabi, who is actually their teacher. I'm glad that we get to focus a little bit more on her character and seeing more of her. The fact that she is the aunt of Boruto is also just as important, so we're definitely going to see more of her in the future, and she could not be more different from her sister. I mean, they look very much alike in many senses. Hanabi, I think, is a bit fairer and a bit thinner, but her personality is just so much more bubbly and outgoing and happy. And she dresses unlike any other ninja that we've actually seen in the series. She's basically just wearing a kimono the entire time, and that's a unique look for her character that I really love. That combined with all three of these girls, which also have very distinctive designs and abilities, just really make me like them a lot, and I want to see more of them in the future. So this was a great episode to sort of get you excited to see more of those characters. But really, it was just sort of, again, just the chasing the animal kind of story, with a few exciting ninja moments, and of course the return of the Nue, which I'm really curious to see if that thing is ever going to eventually go back to the, like, beastly, super powerful form that we saw before. I have a feeling there's going to be an event that will cause that to actually happen again, but it's probably going to involve something a little more serious, and considering that the Chunin exam is coming up, I think that'd be the perfect opportunity to bring that in. But that's all just speculation on my part. As far as the production value of this episode goes, this is a pretty solid looking one right here. Nothing groundbreaking. Nothing really crazy or anything to write home about. But it looked clean enough, the character designs looked good enough, and like I said, it was just a fun, pleasant episode. Which is why I'm going to give this one right here a 4 out of 5. I might be overselling this episode just a little bit, as really there is nothing that special about it. But it's the characters who sell this one, and that's definitely the reason to check this one out. I think most people will consider this a 3 out of 5 episode. For me, I got a lot of enjoyment out of it, and I can't wait for the next episode. We're this much closer to the Chunin exams, and if the preview is any indication, it's going to be a lot of fun. we're going to get to see Konohamaru get completely drunk. So let's get excited for that. So that's my thoughts on this episode. I really loved it. I love these characters and I want to see more of them. But I want to hear your thoughts on this episode. What did you think of Team 15? Do you have a favorite member from this team? What did you think of Hanabi actually being their instructor? Do you want to see more from them in the future, maybe in the Chunin exam? Just give me all your general thoughts about this episode. Keep the discussion going and make sure to tell me what you're excited to see in the brand new Chunin exam arc. Thank you guys so much for watching this review. I'll see you guys next time. And as always, stay down now, baby.